All right, welcome back to our Lockdown Startups conversation. This is the third episode in the sequence. Kyle, how are you, man?
Doing well. I'm doing well. I'm excited for step number three.
All right, we're going to have a good time with this one. So, if you've listened to our prior conversations, hopefully you have, you know that we're doing a four-part series. The first part of our Lockdown Startups idea is really intended for you to find an interesting problem, find a person with an interesting problem. That was the first step. Second step was convene a group of those people into a Facebook group. We walked you through how to do that. So if you don't know how to do those steps, go back and listen to those two sessions. And in today's third session, we're going to talk about listening closely for clues of potential new products. And so we want to walk you through some tools and tips for how to listen closely, how to collect information back, and really tap into this new community that you've developed and how to really serve them well. Kyle, any initial thoughts on this as we start to break it down for people?
This is where it gets exciting. I mean, this is where you sort of have identified a potential issue. You kind of put people into a community, in essence, where you can start to then glean insights in which to take action from. So this is where the rubber meets the road.
Yeah, totally. And so there are tools that you can use to really do this well. I'll tell you just a quick story to set the stage for this conversation. We have a program we run called Sewing with Cinnamon. It's a membership program, roughly around 1,000 people in it. And we have had it running for 3 years, and we're going to relaunch it and kind of revise and expand and, update it on September 29th. So on Tuesday in our newsletter, we did a little thing where we basically, what Jeff Walker would call a shot across the bow message, where we basically said to everybody, hey, we're so excited on September 29th, which if you're listening to this later, it's about 5 weeks from today. We said we're going to relaunch Sewing with Cinnamon. And so it's going to be better, more benefits, all that. And we'd love your input on how to make it really, really effective. So we put a link to a Poll Daddy poll in the newsletter and asked them to give us their feedback. And the poll had, I think, 5 or 6 questions in it. And by 24 hours later, we had over 150 people who had gone through and given us their feedback. So this is the kind of work that we're talking about here in this step, is figuring out ways to solicit input and ideas. And in our case, it was from an existing product that we were just going to enhance and improve. But in the startup context, it would be to ask people, questions that would help you figure out what product might potentially work well for them. And so Poll Daddy is the tool that I mentioned. You could check that out. It's a very simple tool to use. You can set it up. I think it's free or really low price. And then you can even upgrade it to have more access to more data and functionality. That's one tool I like. Kyle, I know you like different tools. What have you used for this type of work before?
Yeah, Poll Daddy is a great tool. Also, one thing I wanted to mention was we had a coaching client that used polls to actually test potential new products that they were launching. So he was in the gardening space and he wanted to do print-on-demand T-shirts. So before he even took it to the market, he would poll his audience and test designs. And then the design that won, then he would take it and offer it for sale, and he would crush it with his sales because they already knew what people liked and wanted. So that's another way to sort of take that and test it for launching products as well. So it works. It works really well. I like sort of finding out what the questions people are asking, because one of the things that you're sort of doing in this phase is discovery. So I really enjoy Answer the Public as a tool where you can type in any sort of keyword phrase and get a lot of questions that people are asking online. So it's just, and you can take those questions yourself and begin to use those in your poll information in your group. So you're almost seeding that conversation to help push that forward, to see exactly if you have the language right.
Yeah.
Is one of the things you're trying to learn is what truly is the pain point of this group of people that you've put together in your Facebook group. what are actually, causing them issues? What are problems are they trying to solve? What sort of actionable insight can you take? And so using that type of tool to seed that is another way that occurs in your poll.
So that's called answerthepublic.com.
Mm-hmm.
And you can enter any kind of question and see what responses are. But yeah, then harvest that idea and use it in your own Facebook group that you set up. Yeah, to start to try to get at what ideas are potentially of interest. And so there's Answer the Public, Poll Daddy. Of course, SurveyMonkey is another tool that is really, really effective to use. So you can set up a SurveyMonkey survey. They give you 10 questions for free in a survey, and you can just set it up and then have the URL that you would put into the Facebook group. And so that's just sort of the toolkit that you could use. And, obviously Poll Daddy and SurveyMonkey both give you very simple ways to collect specific information. So let's talk for a moment about the types of questions that you'd want to ask people to really start to solicit this information. And I would just suggest you lean into two kind of specific areas. One is the pain, and the other is like the ideal. So questions related to what's the most frustrating part of XYZ, or what do you hate the most about XYZ, or what do you wish service providers or product makers in this space realized related to XYZ product or issue. So you want to start to ask questions that collect concepts for you where you could say, oh, okay, this gives me an idea for how to solve the problem that they're encountering. Other questions, Kyle, I've expressed some that are kind of towards the negative or what's not working. I guess the other angle would be towards kind of the aspirational goals or what people would ideally love to see happen or something like that, right?
For sure. Yeah, I think that you are in essence, at this point in the game, any data, any feedback, any common themes you can identify in conversations in the group are going to be beneficial for you. So the poll sort of takes that and condenses it down into a set of questions that you can get. I mean, a lot of people sort of answering the same thing, but in essence, you're asking questions from a positive standpoint as well. It's like you're positioning the pain point. The thing about negative questions is that pain points are usually a much more powerful driver of action than positive aspirational goals. It's like, man, I, want to do this thing. But then if you actually have a pain point that forces action, that's going to be, you want to build your product and your solution to actually solving or making that pain point potentially, hopefully go away for the person, as opposed to leading them to some sort of aspirational point. So in that standpoint, you want to sort of have maybe some positive things in there, but really dig in deeper with your questions.
Mm-hmm.
And also, think about sort of the different first and second, third order problems that the pain points that they're describing. Meaning, they might have a first order problem in their mind that they think, oh, this is the consequence of this pain point. But in actuality, there might be second and third level that are even deeper that really that they're trying to solve with the answers that they're giving. So use your polls to sort of dig deeper into those issues and really get to the core of what's driving that desire for change in whatever niche category you're in.
I love that. Let me just share one other collection strategy that we've used that's been really effective at the Happy Garden Life brand. And this is a little bit different than what we've taught in this startup sequence, but we're talking about you having a Facebook group that you can work in. But what we've done for the Happy Gardening Life is on Instagram, we've done story polls. So we'll do like, do you like this or do you like that? And then they answer, and it immediately creates like 42% of our audience likes, whatever it is, butterflies, And so you start to do these little micro polls where it's just one question. And you could do that in a Facebook group, I suppose, as well, just with a poll function in a Facebook group. And just a single question, this or this, this or this, this or this. And in that way, you start to collect information as well. And you put all of this information together and you really start to think through this next step, which is step number 4, which is how to launch a product. So let's wrap it up here. And then we'll come back in episode 4. We'll talk about how to how to launch the product, and go from there. Sound all right?
Sounds fantastic. I'm excited for it.
All right, man. See you in the next episode.
Bye.